Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Today's podcast, we're going to do a little mold update. We're going to talk about how we are addressing our own mold issues. Evan has a mold issue that we've been keeping everyone up to date on. I actually found out I have some mold behind my stove. So, not good news, but we are remedying it. We are on top of it, and we're going to share a little bit about our journeys. And again, Evan and I see patients from all over the world that actually have mold issues. So because this is happening to us and our families, we've researched and we're finding out some of the more non-toxic products, the more cost-effective means to be addressing this issue. So we're really excited to share the solutions with everyone.
Yeah, it's the best thing to suffer because then you have the best solutions. I was told that I would have to take pharmaceutical drugs for my gut issues, and I would have to take acid blocking medications, and I would have to take Alinea and mebendazole and all these drugs for my parasites. But instead, with your advice, I was able to get rid of my parasite infections using herbs. So I just love to basically challenge the status quo. And I love to just deny the conventional options, because now, even with all this mold illness, people are saying you have to do Dr. Richie Shoemaker's protocol, which is a bunch of different pharmaceuticals, like taking these resins like cholestyramine and doing all this nasal antibiotic sprays. And I don't want to do any of that crap. So I'm going to prove that wrong. And maybe I'm stubborn and maybe I'll fail, but I'm going to try to prove it wrong and do this the natural way, just like I did everything else.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So let me give people a little update on my situation, and then we'll come back and we'll follow up on yours. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
So in general, last week we were having a frozen pipe issue addressed. There was no leakage in the pipe, but we had to go into underneath the cabinet and put some extra insulation around that pipe. In the process, we saw some mold on the in-between cabinet board and the outer side of the drywall. So most of the mold was actually sandwiched in between the cabinet and the outer part of the drywall. And there was a little bit of mold inside, but not much. And then the back wall where the outside of the house was, there was no mold. So it seemed to be sandwiched between the cabinet and the outer drywall, and maybe 70 or 80% less mold on the inner drywall. So it seems like some kind of a water leak must have happened in the past. Could have just been water that went down in between. There could have just been not enough adhesive or sealer or cement, that you seal the cabinet with, or you seal the various tile up against the wall. It could have been that sealer was just loose and water over time accumulated down there. It could have been the vent pipe on top of the stove could have some flashing issues there. So my mold guys are coming in tomorrow to break down that wall behind the cabinet and look and see what's going on and assess it. Based on going in there and looking at the moisture readings were all very low in that area. So based on the low moisture, it doesn't seem like it is an active leak. Of course, if it's a flashing issue, it could only happen when it rains. There is that, but you think there'd be some level of high moisture. So what we're doing is just making sure the cabinets we had already had resealed because we had a kitchen remodel done. But now that it's exposed, we're going to be coming in there now. We're going to be trying to assess the root underlying issue as much as possible and rectifying it, whether it's a flashing issue, whether it's just the sealant behind the stove. Obviously, all that will be addressed either way. So now we're going to go in there. Any visible mold we're going to hit, and we're going to topically get it with hydrogen peroxide and an acetic acid, which is like an apple cider vinegar mix formula to kill it. And this kind of formula is non-toxic, which is great, and it will kill that mold on contact. We're going to have it all remediated in a negative air environment, so the mold spores do not go systemic around the house. I've had scrubbers on the last 5 days, so it's keeping the air pretty darn filtered. And we're also doing a pre and post test on air and plate so I can assess the quality in the house. So that's really important, number one. And then kind of to finish everything off, we have a special herbal essential oil-based solution that's kind of tangerine, lemon, grapefruit seed extract-esque. It's a product called CitraSafe that we have links for below, some of the products that we are now starting to promote, because we're looking at finding the most effective yet also non-toxic. Some of the more conventional products can leave almost like a residue or leave a metabolite behind that's as virulent or as reactive as the mold was originally. So a lot of people who are sensitive can have problems. And again, so this is just kind of where we're at right now with this kind of 3-step solution. I should say 4-step. We're figuring out where the mold is, identifying how that moisture got there. 3, we're killing it in a negative containment, negative air environment so it doesn't spread. Number 4, we're doing the whole thing with scrubbers on in the background to keep that air clean. And then number 5, we are topically using the essential oil fogging solution afterwards. And we do the dry fog. The dry fog seems to be the best because the dry fog gets to a size of about 1 to 10 microns. That's small enough to get in between baseboards and in between really hard areas. So mold that may be hiding behind a board or hiding behind certain things will still get touched and hit by it. So we have the best ability to kill whatever's going on there.
Yeah, and the good thing is for you guys that unless we just don't know yet because you haven't been in the house too long, but your family seems to be doing pretty good. You all don't seem to have any major symptoms.
Exactly. No major issues. Now, the difference is once that mold is now exposed, we all know that kind of moves around. So we scrubbed it. We've done our best. We're doing pre and post air, pre and post testing on the plates. So we're doing our best to quantify what's going on. And then we're going to be doing the dry fog throughout the entire house. So my whole entire house, all the ventilation, all the drywall in my kitchen area out after it's been fully killed. And then we're also going to be doing in the HVAC area. There's a little bit of mold on some of the 2x4s, which is common. Anyone that gets a house built brand new, most people are going to have mold on their 2x4s. I've spoken to people at the mold companies where patients or people have requested like, hey, I want non-moldy 2x4s, and the builders can't even accommodate that.
Oh my God.
So I know people who basically said, hey, let's choose all the boards that we're going to use for the house. And they would just show up that day with a little sprayer and they would just spray it down with the 20% hydrogen peroxide and just kill it all. But then you're good to go.
Yeah, that's the hard part is, even during construction, right? If the house gets rained on during construction, if it doesn't dry out in 48 hours, which it's never going to around here in Kentucky because it rains so damn much, then you start building up and putting walls around those 2x4s that are still wet. So just like us, we moved into a brand new home with a mold problem, right? So people may say, oh, well, my house is new or my apartment's new or my condo's new. New doesn't mean that it's clean. And same goes with the age. You could have a 10-year-old, 20-year-old house that's perfectly perfect. So that's the hard thing. There was a question here, which I think is relevant to bring up now, which this question from somebody on the YouTube comment says, does mold still qualify as a functional medicine rat hole, or is there something about mold toxicity that you can identify from the get-go when diagnosing a patient? I'll just tell you with my own personal story. Yes, mold is sort of I like the term rabbit hole rather than rat hole.
Yes.
But yes, I would say mold is a rabbit hole because it's the great mimicker, just like Lyme disease, meaning I had blood pressure spikes. I had heart palpitations, which did get resolved after I got my cavitation surgery. My heart palpitations disappeared, but I still had blood pressure issues. I still had cold hands, cold feet, circulation problems. My sleep was terrible. I had random rashes. I had brain fog. I had some joint pain. I had some anxiety issues, just like this weird sympathetic overdrive for no reason. And that was all mold. So you can go by looking at all the symptoms, but ultimately you have to test your environment, which is like the plates that Justin has discussed. I'm giving the plates to every single new client now. Every single new client that comes in, we say, hey, we're going to do your functional medicine test. We're also going to do plates, and we test your house. That's like standard protocol now. And then we test the urine. If the budget allows, we run the urinary mycotoxin panel so we can look at the body and see what is the accumulation of biotoxins. For me, I grew up in my grandmother's house, which flooded as a kid. I remember she had box fans down there trying to dry out the basement. It had like 2 feet of water down there. That place had mold. So long story short, if you do a mold urine test, that is your whole lifetime accumulation. That's not just current. And that's why I think it's important, because what if your environment's clean now, but you lived in a moldy house a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago? You could still have the accumulation in your toxin bucket.
So that's good to note that those tests are more of an accumulation. My biggest concern is healthy people that aren't reacting to mold may be just naturally detoxifying it from their environment and not be reacting to it. That's my only concern, right? Is how do you differentiate and draw the line between people that have a body burden of mold and people that are just naturally getting exposed to it and removing it or remediating it from their environment through natural detoxification? Because we know you go out into a forest, I mean, part of the reason why leaves don't stack up into affinity is because they decay and they produce mold as a result. So you go out into a forest, you're going to get basically exposed to mold as well.
Yeah, well, that's why I would go hiking and I would get super dizzy in the woods, right? I didn't know. I mean, I love hiking so much, but I didn't realize it was making me sick until this whole mold thing. To answer your question, I do have the answer to that because I asked William Shaw over at Great Plains that question. I said, okay, so let's say you take a buddy of mine, my friend Justin. He's not symptomatic at all. If he's living in or near mold, is his urine test going to show mold? And he says, not necessarily, because if your body is making the antibodies to work on the mold, your body will push it out, and your mold test should show nothing. Where my test, my genetics are not as good as yours for mold. My test showed tons of mold. You and I could live in the same environment. I may show high and you may not because you're detoxing it and I'm not.
But why wouldn't it show up in the urine? Because isn't the urine part of a natural detoxification system for eliminating mold?
Yes, that is true.
So I
But
don't
I
understand
know
why you wouldn't see something there.
you could see something, but you're not going to see it off the charts because for me, what I did was the glutathione challenge test where I did like
Yeah.
4 days of glutathione to mobilize it. So because my levels were so off the charts, the idea, and this is not all black and white, but the idea is that I probably had mold in my brain, my kidneys, everywhere else, and the glutathione pushed it out of the hiding spots. Whereas you don't have any hiding spots. Yeah, you probably still have some baseline urinary excretion, but probably not an off the charts excretion like I had.
Yeah, and I think anytime you do a mold test, I think it's good to do that glutathione push. It's kind of like doing a heavy metal test, urine, and doing like a DMS or DMPS, doing like a challenge product, so you can kind of get more of a tissue burden. I think it allows you to get more of a whole body burden if you add some type of a glutathione compound to it.
Yeah, and the reason that glutathione is the best, at least in my reading, is because mold depletes glutathione. Now, interestingly enough, though, I did an organic acid test, and my glutathione, according to the oat, looks somewhat decent. But I'll tell you, I don't feel well if I take too much glutathione. So I know that I probably am at a deficient state, maybe a functional deficient state where maybe the test doesn't show it. But when I take glutathione, I can feel that I'm mobilizing toxins with it.
Exactly. And again, you're at a high level of function. I mean, you're seeing patients, you're doing a lot of deep level thinking. So I mean, potentially if you had lower glutathione, that may have been even worse or more exacerbated, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I'm so glad that my symptoms are more related to dizziness and blood pressure and all that, and that my cognitive function is still good because I would hate not to be able to be helping people throughout this. Luckily, I'm so grateful that even with the symptoms I have had, I've still been able to work where many people, they can't work and they have to go on, if you talk with JW, many people say they go on disability. They're living with family members and friends because their house is too moldy. But luckily, I didn't have to do that. We did stay in that hotel for about a month, but that hotel was moldy too. I still had problems there. That's the hard part is where is your safe place? And the
Yeah.
answer is it's hard.
Now, my perspective on it is this. It's like number one, I want to do a deep timeline and find out number one, is there any visible mold where dry, water stains on the ceiling or drywall stains? Number one, can you visualize any mold? Number two, any history of water damage in the house? If you can answer negatively to those, that's step one. Step two is, do you feel better when you're out of the house? If you're in a better environment and it's not like you're just on a beach having a vacation, meaning you're outside of the house and you're still doing better, you're doing better outside of the house, and that's consistent, that's another sign there could be mold. And then number three is, let's work on some of the foundational diet and lifestyle things, do some of the functional tests, see if we start to move the needle and start improving. If we start improving with some of those things, and there's a good sign that there could be other, let's just say, higher priorities on the list. So we're going to go after those first. Those are the first three. And then, of course, in between there, if we're ever in doubt, we may want to do some of the mold plate testing to at least get a baseline to see what's going on. And if we don't have any area to specifically target, right, that's where doing some of these essential oil dry fogging could be helpful. And I would only do that if we have some plate testing that's showing some higher levels, and maybe we're finding that we feel better when we're outside of the house.
Yeah, well said. And remember, you and I used to have this conversation where I was upstairs in my office working and I felt fine. And then I would come downstairs to the dinner table, and that's when I would get a blood pressure spike. And it was because my dinner table area in the kitchen was right where the crawl space issue was. And that's where the vents were. And the bad air from the crawl space came into the living area. So all day at work upstairs, I had a separate heating and cooling system up there that did not have mold. I felt fine. And then I'd come into the moldy environment to eat dinner, and then I would feel bad. So yeah, it may even be a difference of room. When I sleep in this bedroom versus that bedroom, I feel better. or when I go to work at the office, I feel worse. And then when I come home, I feel better. Well, then your office, your work environment could be a source too. If someone's working at, let's say, an old moldy building like a courthouse in their city, that's probably a moldy building. And then you got to try to find remedies to still keep your job. Like maybe you have a portable HEPA air purifier on your desk to pump good air into your face. Maybe that's all you could do in certain situations. Teachers, schools are very bad. Schools are notoriously moldy. If you're a teacher in a moldy school, you got to try to hack that
I
situation.
know. I mean, if that was me, I would probably bring a fogger in and just fog it really fast without anyone knowing, just to be on the safe side and have a really good air filter. What's your take on it?
Yeah, if I was a teacher and I had a moldy classroom on a Friday afternoon, I would just stay a little extra after hours. I'd fog the classroom, leave. So over the weekend, that fog is just doing its job. Put the fogger on a timer. So after the X amount of hours or whatever, it just shuts off. And then Monday morning you come in and then you got a clean room. The problem is if you don't have like a window unit in your classroom, because we have a lot of teachers, I have teachers as clients. I know you do too. If you have like a single unit, you could probably fix it. But if you're on like a central system where the entire school is connected to some giant HVAC room, that fogging is only going to buy you time until that HVAC central system kicks on again and throws more spores back in your classroom.
Yeah, and again, you should be having, like, if you're in a school like that, the newer schools probably run almost like at a hospital level of filtration, right? The newer
Hopefully
ones.
so. I don't know.
I know that's
I
the
don't
tough
know.
situation. That's the tough situation there. But at least you can have an air filter in your classroom and maybe talk to the school, see if you can get the whole HVAC system, fogged. It doesn't take much to fog it. You throw
No,
it in the central
no,
unit. It
and
really
and the
doesn't.
cost is not that bad. And if we talk about how this problem of mold affects society, I mean, we've seen
Mhm.
one of the biggest symptoms of people getting re-exposed to mold is suicide and suicidal
Mhm.
thoughts.
Mhm.
And think about all the suicides we're seeing. How
Uh-huh.
much of that is linked to mold? Obviously, pharmaceutical drugs and media and all this. So don't say Evan said it's all mold. No, I didn't say that. I'm saying it's a factor. And I'll tell you, when I went to this moldy building, I went to go get my driver's license changed out. I went to the old courthouse, like down the road. After I came
Mhm.
back from that courthouse,
Mhm.
I was sweating. My blood pressure was spiking, and I just had a super big wave of depression and anxiety for no reason. I just felt miserable and terrible. And that was me getting re-exposed to mold. So I know from a mental health perspective, this is huge. And how many times is your psychiatrist saying, hey, I think your problem is mold? They're never saying that. They're saying, oh, this is a problem with your marriage. Well, when I talked with JW, he said the number 1 and 2 problems people have when they're exposed to mold, number 1, financial problems, number 2, marriage problems. Because if you're sick, you're not going to be as happy. Your family members are going to have to deal with you being sick. I see how it could strain marriages and relationships. Does your counselor or therapist bring up mold in your house as the cause of your marriage issue? Absolutely not. But they should be, because this is a huge factor. This is a smoking gun for so many problems that we see, but nobody knows.
100%. Now, my perspective on it is this: is not everyone is genetically super sensitive to mold. I know I am not, at least right now. Number two, there's the idea of having a stress bucket. So the better you do other things in your life, diet, blood sugar stability, keeping inflammation down, keeping external exposure to toxins down, that's going to make a bigger difference. So then when you are exposed to mold, it may be less of an issue versus if you're carrying 50 or 100 pounds overweight, you're inflamed, your diet's poor, your sleep's poor, you're over or under exercising. Those things are going to add to your stress bucket where that mold may be an issue versus if you have everything lined up, the mold may not be an issue. It may be more of a speed bump than a stop sign. So the
Well
first
said.
thing is, I think anyone that has any potential mold issues, do all the foundational things right. See how much that moves the needle. A person on the Q&A question list has a really good pertinent question. They wrote, how can you find if there's mold inside the ceiling separating 2 floors? One of our kids let the water run till it poured to the kitchen ceiling spotlights. So
Oh,
I would say, number one, if you have the root cause addressed, meaning you know how the water got there, that's good, right? So don't repeat number one. Number two, if you can see water in the spotlight, I would definitely cut out anything you can visibly see. I would at least have a mold remediator come in, open the ceiling up, and at least spray anything in there that they can topically get with the hydrogen peroxide solution, and then fog the rest, and then put clean drywall up where the water spots were. Which
yeah,
is
that's
what it
good.
does.
That's good advice. Yeah. And, definitely have somebody, if you're going to try to do it yourself, you'd want to have a mask on. You don't want to try to disturb a wall cavity and make yourself or your kids sick. So you want to have the proper PPE, the personal protection equipment, if you are going to try to do any of that work on your own. It sounds like there's probably not an ongoing water or moisture problem. I would still look into getting a portable humidity monitor to check your house and make sure your humidity levels below 50%. And then what you could do too, if you have somebody cut open the wall cavity, you could always just throw a plate in there just for curiosity's sake. And if you do have any symptoms or any of your children have symptoms, put a plate in your master bedroom, put a plate in your kids' room. Just make sure your sleeping areas are covered. That goes directly into this other question here from someone that says, is there a range delivered in the report that indicates an overgrowth that needs to be remediated? In other words, is there a safe amount? Yes. For the plates we're talking about, the company we're using, you have a health score. 0 to 4 is normal. Some mold in the environment is normal. You're probably never going to get to 0. But when you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 96, like my issue was, then you have a problem. And that's when you know you need to remediate. So 4 and below, generally you're okay.
Yeah, then the big areas to look will be obviously the roof to make sure there's no leakage there. And for the most part, like you're going to see if there's an active leak, you're going to see some level of exposure. I think you saw a lot of dampness in your attic, right? You had a big pool of water in your attic.
I did, yeah, and that was
So
from the dripping. It was dripping from the rafters.
exactly. So you saw water and moisture in the attic, and most people with an active leak, they would see it on the drywall, they'd see it on the roof or the ceiling. If you don't see it, and those other major vectors have been addressed, and you're still concerned because of high level of plate testing, I mean, I would bring a mold person out with a good moisture meter to check all the major areas for moisture, high levels of moisture. You can even do the infrared heating to assess cold and hot spots. And then once that's been addressed, if there's no major issues, then that's where I think just the fogging would be the next logical step throughout the whole house.
Yep. And one other point is like apartments and condos and hotels and all that. These are places that have multiple units. So, for example, in the hotel we were staying at, there was a huge water spot that looked like mold above our hotel room. And we asked the staff about it. And they said, oh, yeah, the dishwasher overflowed above you guys on the second or third floor or whatever it was. Like, get us out of this hotel room. So we moved to another hotel room. It took me to go to 3 different rooms in the same building before I could sleep through the night. And my wife, she was waking up too. She had terrible sleep. Our daughter had terrible sleep. So we just kept moving hotel rooms until we found one that was clean. So if you live in a place where you got somebody above you or below you, what if they are not as careful about their dishwasher or shower or sink or whatever, and they have a plumbing issue? Their plumbing issue then becomes your plumbing issue because it's affecting your breathable air.
Exactly. Exactly. That makes so much sense. So, in general, can you smell mold? I mean, I can just tell you, like, I've been in moldy houses where you can smell that moldiness, but I can tell you when we had that visible mold, I could not smell that. Could you smell mold in your house?
No, we did not smell it, and it was
Yeah.
not visible. We couldn't see it, and we couldn't smell it. That's why it's like the invisible assassin. And they say, when we say they, we're talking the mold experts that Justin and I consult with. The experts say when you smell mold, it's a very, very, very bad problem at that point.
Yeah, it's a very bad issue. But in general, it's just the play testing simple and cheap. So if anyone's
It's so
wanting
cheap.
to reach out to my office, we'll put information below where you can just email me and we can get you that. Same thing if you're listening to Evan's, check below and you can reach out to Evan directly and we can give you access to some of that testing. But that's a good first spot. And if you have health issues and not there's like no water spots, there's no active leak, there's no major issue off the bat, there's no timeline history in and around water damage or with the house, don't worry about off the bat. Don't just focus on the foundational things yet. And then we can always do a little bit of cheaper testing in the meantime to see if there's an issue. But work on the foundation because sometimes that can move the needle so much and it can take so much stress balls out of your stress bucket and allow you to heal significantly.
Yeah, you make a good point. I've done all the foundational work, gut, adrenals, etc. So my diet's dialed in. I've done everything, which is probably why I stayed afloat. Because when I talk with Dr. Shaw at the lab about my report, he goes, dude, he didn't say dude, but he was like, this is very high. And I was like, well, luckily I'm just dizzy and had blood pressure problems because I've still been able to work versus if I didn't have all the other, 10 years of herbs and adaptogens and all that in my system, maybe I would have collapsed further and had further
Yeah.
health problems.
You may not have been functional and being able to help all the patients and do all that, but it's great. It's good to walk the journey of the wounded healer. I feel like for me, this has been such a great journey because I'm going to be so much more, when you take a crash course, when you deal with the experts and you get concentrated, actionable information, it's so much more valuable than just popping your head into a book or watching a documentary because you're getting actionable steps to fix the issue. It's not fluff or theoretical nonsense, if you will.
Yeah, and that was the same thing when I knew that you were going to be having your first kid. I thought, oh, this is so exciting because I was going to be alone on the parenting journey. And now you're a dad with your son and I'm a dad with my daughter. And then same thing with this mold issue. I was like on this road alone. And then now you found your issue. So I'm partially kind of glad that this happened to you because now I'm like, yes, now he gets to empathize and now he understands what I had to go through to fix it. So
Yeah, it's a good journey. And, I think most people, and here's the hard part, right? Is people listen and they're going to be like, oh my God, like I don't have any water spots. I don't think I have any damage. I feel like I'm going to have to tear my house down to go figure out what's going on. Don't worry about that. Get the plate testing. If you can't see anything visibly, if you know your roof's good, if you know those things like the common areas are kind of dialed in and there's no leaking, nothing visible, then the easiest first thing is get a little bit of testing for your house done. Start there. And then number two, we can always move to just a simple systemic kind of dry fogging solution that's totally essential, oil-based, non-toxic. That'd be the first natural step. And we talk with some of the people at the labs, they even do this kind of once a year, once every couple of years on their house anyway, just kind of for preventative as well.
yeah, and we had one comment here, and then we can wrap up. A guy put, we had a major windstorm that rolled through with 70-mile-per-hour winds, causing a lot of roof shingles to be blown off. Time to examine those roofs for leaks. Yes, it is time. I would get a plate, put it up in your attic. I guarantee your attic could have potentially a roof leak or mold. And that's not to freak you out or cause panic. It's just to say the reality is very high. Even the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and some of these major government entities say that 1 in 3 homes has a water event every year. So this water problem is huge. Water, moisture equals mold. So this is like a huge epidemic that is just way underdiagnosed.
Yeah, I'm putting it on my kind of like preventative maintenance protocol for my house is to get my roof looked at preventatively once a year. Just to have someone go up there, check all the flashing, check any pipes, check any area where there could be something. I mean, my roof is like 3 years, it's only 3 years old, so it's relatively brand new. But
We did that when Jeff came to my house to do the fog. He went up in the attic, which we're going to turn into a playroom, and he said, "Evan, there's a lot of staining on this plywood up here." He said, "This scares me. Get a roofer out here." And the roofer came, and he said, "This looks like it was a water event from when the roof got put on." He says, "This is not a current leak." So the staining was concerning, but luckily, it was not a red light.
Yeah, so if it's not an active issue, then you just fog it and leave it alone, right?
Yep, exactly.
Because there could be
That's
a
what we
water
did.
stain and there's no active, if you can't visualize the mold on there, then you just stain it or you just do the dry fog on it and then you're pretty good.
Yeah, he did peroxide on a couple spots because they looked a little scary, but he said, "No, this is
Yeah.
fine." So,
Yeah. So I think when in doubt, right, you just peroxide it and then fog it afterwards.
yep, absolutely. And
That
this
makes
is
sense.
stuff that we like people to do it on the with the DIY, sure, but when we say hydrogen peroxide, that's not your standard 3%. This is very potent, like 30 plus percent that's being diluted to the mid-teen to mid 20% hydrogen peroxide. It will
Would
really
burn.
burn you and it will really hurt you. So don't just like, I heard this podcast, I'm going to go fix my house. No, please, like, speak with Justin, speak with me, speak with some of our friends and experts, because this is something that, you may want to have expert help. I don't want you going and, oh, let me open up this wall panel and then you get hit in the face with black mold and you end up in the hospital or
Yeah,
something.
and
We don't
if you
want.
do visualize it, if you want to kill it, you want to do it in a negative air containment so it does not go systemic. So if you visualize it, if it's like, on the outside of a wall, then it's a bad thing, right? But you'd want to
Yeah.
have it, taped off or bagged off while you're waiting to get a mole person up there, and then they would address it in a negative kind of containment environment with the right type of respiration and the right type of material to shoot out that hydrogen peroxide in a way so they don't get burned. So you want to have an expert do that as well. And for
Yep.
me, I'm just going to have them do the fogging as well because why not? They're already doing 80% of the job. I'll have them do the whole 100%.
Yep. Absolutely.
The only thing I would say maybe if there's no active issues and you want to do it from a preventative standpoint, where, hey, there's no active leaks. There's nothing I'm trying to hit specifically. I just want to do a general dry fog. I think that would be doable by yourself. I know you and the other expert did it together, right?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, he basically showed me the ropes, but I let him handle it all because I was so overwhelmed with moving and I was living out of a suitcase for a month. So I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna just have him do it for me, and it turned out to be about $1 per square foot versus some of the other enzyme-based treatments I previously discussed on the podcast was around $5 per square foot. So significant difference in cost, but we're seeing just as good, if not better, results.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you buy it, it's way cheaper than that because I know with
Yeah,
my
if you buy
house.
it, I think he said it's around 50 cents a square foot.
Yeah, yep. So you're looking at 50 cents a square foot. I would even say potentially a little bit less than that. I think you can get it down to, yeah, 50, 40 cents a square foot makes about sense. Totally.
One comment on here, if we built homes with solid concrete, we may not have this mold issue. Maybe, but a lot of concrete holds moisture and moisture creates mold. So I've heard of plenty of different cases speaking with the lab where they've had concrete walls in the basement that are absolutely covered in mold. So it sounds good in theory. There are other building materials that are better, but there's no like cure all because there's houses in the middle of the desert that JW has seen that are moldy. So
Exactly. And then, if you have, let's just say you can't make a whole house out of concrete. I know Edison back in the 1920s, I think, was trying to do that. Really interesting. But eventually you're going to have some type of break and then moisture will get in there and mold will form at a acute, at a level where you can't see it. And you may have high levels of moisture in the basement. So that's where I think the fogging is really good either way. And just having a really good HVAC system in there. Like when we put our basement in, we're like, oh, should we put an HVAC in? I'm like, heck yeah, because I want to have really good air circulation and really good control over the environment down there to keep
yeah.
the humidity low and to keep the air moving in a way. So it's not, the more that air just sits, if you get moisture in there, it's more likely to mold versus, dry up and evaporate.
Absolutely. Well, let's wrap this thing up. But in terms of consultations, if you want to reach out to Justin and get help, we notice a lot of clients get better on our protocols that we use for the gut because we're using a lot of antifungal herbs. We see a lot of fungus show up on stool tests. So fungus in your home equals fungus in your body, which is why people do so well on our protocols. So if you want to reach out, you can get a hold of Justin at his site, justinhealth.com. Reach out for a consult. We love helping people across the world. If you want to get in touch with me, the website is evanbrand.com, and we send the lab test to your house. So if you reach out, say, hey, Justin, or hey, Evan, I've got this problem. We send the test to your house, whether we're talking plates, urine test, we're looking at your home, we're looking at your body. That's done from anywhere in the world, literally. And then we get a protocol together. So, yes, you can do a lot of this on your own. Is it better to have a tour guide, so to speak, who's been through it? Yes, it is. Am I biased to say that? Yes, but I hire people to help me. So I think having a teammate is helpful, especially because this topic gets overwhelming quickly.
Exactly, 100%. So today was a really great, I think, podcast, actionable information. I think if anyone's dealing with these issues, it's going to hopefully make it seem a little bit more simpler, a little bit more bite-sized, give you some good non-toxic solutions to address the issue. And it may be just one part of your kind of healing health journey.
Absolutely. Well, you all take good care, and we'll be back with more updates on this whole mold topic soon.
Thanks so much. And give us a thumbs up, a share, and leave your comments below. We want to get your feedback on it, and we'll go through there and try to answer some of y'all's questions. You guys have a phenomenal day. Thanks for listening.
Take care. See ya.
Take care. Bye.